Ray, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
All right, yo, let's get into it.
Try to take over the world.
Preaching freedom.
Try to take over the world.
And greatest chaplain in the world, Mr.
Try
Lance
to
O'Neill.
take over the world.
All right, we are back to POGS After Dark. Let's try to see if we can get that refresh. We're still having some technical difficulties, but we are going to get it going. All right, so here we go. The question we asked for this segment, Allie. So I'll set it back up again. It's now been 9 months. Your boy's been in charge. I know you were super ecstatic in January or in November, and then subsequently in January. How are you feeling 9 months into the reign of 47?
Overall, I'm pleased. I think the thing that makes me the happiest, I guess, is the borders closing. I mean, living in the South, I feel a lot safer, not, knowing that people aren't coming across the border, that we don't know who they are. It seems like, the fentanyl issue is better. I don't know. I think overall, I'm really happy, and all along, I don't think that Trump's perfect. I don't, expect miracles. I think he's kind of a narcissist, but overall, I think given the choice, he was the best person at this point. So overall, I'm very happy. Time will tell. Let's see how the rest of it goes. But, I think there's going to be good, and I think we can turn it into, like what we were talking about prior. It's just nobody's ever going to be happy. No, not everybody's going to be happy at the same time. So, I'm just glad that he's in, and I'm very pleased, and hopefully it keeps going. Are you happy? How do you feel about it?
I hold the
Not a loaded question.
No, not at all. I hold the belief that a government without balance is a recipe for disaster, regardless who's in charge, right? And I think right now we are incredibly unbalanced as a government, as a country, and I think there's going to be negative consequences because of that. Because no power left unchecked is going to be okay, right? And then I posed a scenario to you. If you had a liberal Supreme Court and a liberal Congress and a liberal president, and they said, okay, hey, we are making, transgender rights universal, and you can go marry every pig, goat, cat, whoever you want to, have a great time, and I'm gonna hold the drag race on the presidential lawn, and we're gonna broadcast it nationally. I think that would bother you a lot, right? And you would say,
it absolutely would. Yeah.
So without there being checks and balances, and I think that's what we sorely lack, right? And I get it, to the victor goes the spoils. I'm not one of those guys that say, oh, well, this, that, and the other. I firmly believe if people cared enough, they should have got off their ass and voted and made a difference. But the president is who he is, and he has a right to run the country in the way he seems fit. And everybody else got to deal with that shit until the next election. So I got no qualms, right? I don't agree with it, but then again, I didn't think Biden knew what the fuck he was doing the last 2 or 3 years of his reign either. So it's just more the same for me, right? Like we've been in worse times, we've been in better times. My concern is, can we recover? Right? America's always been the country who got off the mat, right? And course corrected. If we've ever gone too far left, we had a conservative to come in and kind of say, okay, hey man, let's pull that shit back a little bit, right? And whenever we've gone a little too far right, we've had liberal administrations kind of come in and pull it in, right? But there was always a sense of balance. But right now, when you have a executive branch just has a bunch of people who just say, all right, cool, do what you want. Then you got a SCOTUS that says, yeah, hey man, let it rock. And then follow that by an inactive Congress. I think that's a recipe for disaster, no matter who's in power. So Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, man.
Fair enough. Yeah.
You know,
Hope for the best. That's all we can do.
yeah. I
So,
mean, yeah, that's it, man. And like I said, if people don't like it, if the country doesn't agree with it, then midterms is going to have a swing, which they normally do, right? The president's party usually takes a beating every midterm either way. So, it's one of those things, man. You just have to,
I have another question for you. So,
yeah, sure.
how do you feel? How do you feel about the left being so hateful and so against everything Trump is trying to do, instead of maybe possibly coming over a little bit and trying to meet in the middle with him? Like, do you think that they need to, like, maybe they don't have to like 100% agree to him, but maybe like actually have a conversation to maybe try and make things work, instead of, so we hate you because you're Trump, we hate you because you're Trump? And I mean, do you think they need to? What's your opinion
Don't
on
say
that?
anything, KJ. KJ, don't say anything. I'm going to answer for you. I remember
Oh,
when Mitch McConnell said that he was going to do everything he could to stop.
And that's why you are my best friend. And that's why you're my best friend, because history will tell us everything we need to know. It is just, I mean, we saw it once and now we're seeing it on the opposite side, right? It's just, and from 2008 to 2016, that's just what it was. And then now we're seeing it on the backside, except the blue team this time got their heads so far up their ass that they don't have a direction to go forward. And that's unfortunate, because, I think the country's sorely missing that balance.
I still look at it like this. And my wife, I'm going to make this point because my wife said to me a few weeks ago, hey, did you know Elon Musk is starting a political party or something? And I was like, yeah, I did know about that. But the fact that you're barely hearing about it tells me that it's not going to go anywhere, because you should be the type of person that should be going, really? I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I want common sense. I want people. And the only way that it works is if Musk and whoever else, but Musk needs to be willing to put $5 to $10 billion into that party, and then we'll talk. Then we'll see how it goes. Now, Musk might say that's not worth it. It's, I don't think it's going to do it, but I think that's what it would genuinely take to have any real effect. But the midterms, to me, that's where it really should be. He should be going in and saying, all right, I'm going to spend $1 billion. For him, that's what, 1% of his overall wealth. I'm going to spend $1 billion and I'm going to target X number of gettable locations. Orange County, California, different, whatever 10 places, and say, okay, this is where I'm going to do my test market from. And if I can make out of those 10 markets, if I can win 3 to 5 seats, this will be viable. And at that point, he'd get so much free press out of that. Wow, Musk went after these 10 seats, and 3 of them won, 4 of them won, 5 of them won. This is serious. That will be so much free press that then when the presidential election runs around the next year, you actually could see a viable third party.
Momentum will be there.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to, and I don't think it will. I think it's going to fizzle out. I think it was a big pop the cork and, hey, we're going to do no party, and nothing. I haven't heard anything since.
Well, I like the strategy that the red team did, right? So when they got, they learned from 2008 and 2012, right? They said, all right, cool. We need to start from the bottom, re-energize our base at the local level, which will, let's get the cities back, let's get the states back, let's get the school boards back, and we'll use that momentum to catapult us back into national relevancy, right? Mm-hmm. So while the Democrats were doing their victory circles and clapping and saying, oh, Republicans will never win again, the Republican Party, the Red Party, actually sat down and strategized, and they put together, I mean, from a political standpoint, it was absolutely fucking brilliant. You haven't seen anything like that since post-Reconstruction. So all of that being said, I think the Democrats are at least a decade away from even getting close to gaining a foothold on the country. And at that point, I don't know.
What do you mean by a foothold? What do you mean by that? Because I think next midterms 50-50 again. I mean, I'd have to look what the Senate looks like as far as how many seats have to be defended. But the one thing I'd really like to see in the next midterms, if anybody, I don't care if they are the strongest conservative out there, if they're over 65 years old, don't vote for them. Get rid of them. Let's get at least a few Gen Xers in there.
I will tell you the Achilles heel for the Democratic Party, and this is why it's going to take them at least a decade, is because they need white women. And white women do not vote opposite of their household or their husbands. And white men tend to statistically be super conservative. And without the white women, Democrats can't win. We saw that when they ran Hillary Clinton, I'm with her, and they tried to tell you, oh, don't listen to your husband. You need to vote in your best interest. And they failed miserably. And then they tried it again. They ran that same playbook with Kamala, which was absolutely idiotic. Oh, hey, all the women of the world unite.
Even though she ran a perfect campaign, KJ?
Do you really think that women are like, you know what? I'm going to vote for Trump because my husband did. Do you think women nowadays really do that? I sure don't. My husband could have been Democrat and I'd be like, too bad.
But the data shows that that's not what happens. It just, I'm not really a big, one way or the other guy. I just look at the numbers and say, okay, well, hey, look, at 87%, white households vote unanimously. Whether they believe it or not, if the husband says we go left, the family in the house goes left. Same thing with black households, right? Where black households, whether man and woman, if they're Democrat, that whole household is voting Democrat, right? Because they don't want to deal with the stigma or the I guess repercussions of voting opposite of what the family believes. So it's going to be a while. Usually the Democrats. So what happened at the turn of the century, the Democrats would have liked to have gotten the female vote, right? And they had a little bit of a push when they was trying to push the whole modern woman liberal, woman's liberation and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Messed up at is every time they always say, okay, well, go against your family, go against your husband, go against everything you believe at your core and vote for us because we know what's best for you. And that's been the Democratic downfall this last half decade, right? Because a wife's not going to go against her husband, right? That's the whole point of you having a husband, is so y'all could be united. You know what I mean? And you trust in his judgment. And that's kind of what you see in the running of this administration. It just is what it is. So until the Democrats can figure that out, that you can't separate the white household, it doesn't work, right? And anybody that tried to do it over the last 60 years has failed miserably. So it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Just to sit back and you look at it, it's really fun. And not to make it a white thing, it's the same thing in the black thing too, right? So like once we got past the whole black fathers not being in the household in the 70s and the 80s, right? We saw a resurgence of the black family in the 90s, starting in the 90s. It got stronger in the 2000s to where now in the 2020s, you're starting to see a resurgence of the more traditionalist black couple. And what happened is they assume that black men would automatically be Democratic when they're not. Traditionally, black men have conservative core principles, right? That doesn't mean that they're Republican. That just means that they believe in small government. Leave me the hell alone. Let me go out, make things equitable, not equal, make it equitable, and let me go get it, right? That's ultimately what the black family holds core. That was one of the top 3 values. And what the Democrats took for granted was, oh, we're just going to throw money at you. We're going to continue to subsidize you if you vote for us. And that turned a lot of black families off. So you lost that foundational block of the black family or the black woman and family. Couple that with, oh, we don't have, you're trying to turn white women against their husband. It was just a recipe for disaster. And I don't know why they haven't figured that out yet. It's, the data is undisputable. It's right there. So until they figure that shit out, it's going to be a conservative, conservative. Yeah. But and again, my only issue is I don't have an issue like I tell Lance all the time. My issue is not with conservatives; it's with Christian national influence in the conservative party, because the traditional conservative parties died, a decade and a half ago, right? With the I say with the Clinton Republicans, but Newt Gingrich and the new Republicans killed the Republican Party, traditional party, at least in my opinion. And then you started to see a more radical separatist party kind of being developed under the leadership of McConnell and Roberts and all.
Yeah, both parties kind of gone that way.
And it just, it just kind of split. So it's fun to watch from a data standpoint. And then, it just, I don't know. I'm just weird like that. That's why.
Yeah, my favorite is when
maybe I'm just too sassy. Maybe I'm just too sassy, because if Mark told me we're Republican and you're gonna vote Republican, I'd be like, you're gonna tell me to do what? I'm just too sassy, I guess.
Which is funny because my wife comes to me and she goes, "Who are we voting for this time?" She's just not as well, and that's because my wife's not overtly political either. So, like in 2016, I left the Republican Party when Trump was nominated because I was not a fan of what he was doing, this and that. And so she was like, "Who are we voting? We're voting Libertarian because we want to. Our vote in Texas isn't going to be affected. Trump's going to win Texas anyway, but we want to get the money to the Libertarians to try to build that up." I think if Musk was really smart, that's where he would go. He would take that money and go into try to build up the Libertarian Party or the Constitution Party, something like that, as opposed to building a brand new one. But I think there are a lot of I think there are a lot of
I would like to see those.
I think there are a lot of people, not just women, that listen to their spouse. I think it goes both ways, where if a woman she's the politically driven one, and he's like, "Hey, I don't really care. Who are we voting for?" So I think there's a lot of that too.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's so statistically that is the normal. That's how couples vote, right? You'll have one person who is like grounded in political, whatever. And come election time, we're like, "All right, baby, we got to go vote. Grab your ID and everything." And they be like, "Yo, who are we voting for?" He'd be like, "Oh, you don't want to vote for that guy. This is why we're voting for so and so, right? We're voting for Johnson." Or you get the familiar name, right? That's how congressmen stay in there forever, because it's like, well, who do we vote for last time? Oh, we voted for Johnson. We always vote for Johnson.
That's twice I haven't made Eddie Murphy jokes that I could have.
And you should have. I'm telling you.
Because when you said you can't hide being white, I was going to you could if you had a Hollywood makeup studio like Eddie Murphy. And then white people stay in. Well, you've told me the name of the movie again. Distinguished Gentlemen. Hey, you guys can keep talking. I gotta go get in bed. I'm gonna be dying tomorrow. You guys keep going. Allie, thanks for coming on. Anybody who's watching, thanks for participating. We'll see you next week.
Allie, go ahead and enjoy your evening. I gotta
my evening is going to be getting in the shower and getting in bed.
You're old, man. You're old.
I am old. Good night.
All right, you guys have a great one. We'll see you next week.
Bye. See you guys. Bye.
Gee, mate, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
All right, yo, let's get into it.
Try to take over the world. Try to take over the world.
And greatest chaplain in the world, Mr. Lance O'Neill.
Try to take over the world.